Shalom, my friends. Today, I'm going to share something with you that will change the way you pray forever. I'm going to reveal the precise, Torah-sanctioned time you must pray to ensure that God answers your prayers immediately. By the end of this video, you will not only know when this divine window is open, but also how to pray at that exact moment to open the gates of heaven for your financial life. But before we do that, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest in the comments below. How many times have you prayed, begged, maybe even screamed to God for help, for a breakthrough, for a miracle, and the only thing you got back was silence? What is that one prayer you feel has gone unanswered for years? Let me know in the comments. Look, I'm on a mission to reach 50,000 souls like you with this timeless wisdom about wealth, faith, and creating a legacy. We live in a world that teaches us to chase, to toil, and to fight for every crumb. But our ancestors knew a different path, a path of divine partnership. If you believe this message needs to be heard, if you want to be part of this movement, do yourself and this community a favor and hit that subscribe button now. It's more than a click. It's a declaration that you are ready for a higher level of living. And if you are truly serious, if you want the inner circle teachings I don't share publicly, become a channel member. You'll get exclusive content, early access to videos, and a direct line to my most powerful strategies. Click the join button below and let's walk this path together. All right, let's begin. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about prayer is wrong? What if I told you that God isn't ignoring your prayers? What if I told you that you're knocking on the wrong door at the wrong time? Most people pray when it's convenient for them. In the car, in the shower, when panic strikes. They treat God like a 24/7 customer service hotline and then get frustrated when their ticket goes unanswered. But the universe doesn't work that way. The universe created by Hashem operates on rhythm, timing, and divine cycles. There are moments of immense spiritual power, and there are moments of spiritual silence. Praying at the wrong time is like sowing seeds in winter. You can have the best seed in the world, but the ground is not ready to receive it. Today, I will teach you how to sow during the spiritual spring, at the exact moment when the heavenly soil is most fertile. I didn't discover this secret in a modern self-help book. I discovered it deep in the night, surrounded by ancient holy texts. I was at my lowest point. A business had failed. I was in debt. And my prayers felt like echoes in an empty cathedral. I was frustrated. God, why aren't you listening? I screamed into the silence of my study. That night, as I was studying the writings of the holy Arizal, Rabbi Isaac Luria, the great 16th century Kabbalist, my eyes fell upon this passage. He spoke of an et ratzon, a time of favor. He explained that the universe has spiritual gates, cosmic windows that open and close at specific times. And he revealed the most powerful window of all, a time when the king is in his throne room, not traveling in the field, a time when the veils between our world and the heavens are at their thinnest, a time when a prayer doesn't have to go through layers of bureaucracy, but goes directly to the throne of God. That moment, he wrote, is Chatzot Laila. the precise middle of the night. The common enemy we all fight is the idea that God is distant, that He isn't listening. We project our experiences with human bureaucracy onto the divine. We think our prayer is an application form that ends up in a large pile. The hidden mechanism, however, is that God is always listening. The question is not whether He is listening, but whether we are tuned to the right frequency. Praying at a random moment is like trying to tune into your favorite radio station with static noise. Praying at Chatzot Laila is like tuning into a crystal-clear signal. The cost of inaction, the cost of not knowing this secret, is immense. It's years of frustrated prayers. It's missed opportunities. It's the feeling of spiritual abandonment, which inevitably leads to financial stagnation. Because if you don't believe the source is listening to you, how can you expect the blessings from that source to flow to you? This is not New Age spirituality. This is deeply rooted in our Torah. Think of our father Jacob, Yaakov Avinu. Where did he receive the most transformative prophecy of his life, the dream of the ladder to heaven? The Torah says, he came to a certain place and stayed there overnight, for the sun had set. The sages of the Talmud ask, why does it say a certain place? It wasn't just any place. It was the Temple Mount. And when did he have the dream? At night. In the depth of the night, he received the promise of land, of offspring, of divine protection. The gates of heaven opened for him in the night. Think of King David, the author of the Psalms. He wrote, "At midnight I rise to give you thanks." Psalm 119:62. King David, the greatest king of Israel, a man whose life was filled with wars, politics, and royal responsibilities, understood that the source of his power was not in his army or his strategy, but in his connection with God at midnight. He rose while the world slept, because he knew that at that moment the true king was awake and listening. The core principle here is that timing is everything. In the physical world, we understand this. You don't launch a business during a recession. You don't harvest fruit before it's ripe. But in the spiritual world, we completely ignore this principle. We treat the spiritual realm like a chaotic, unpredictable lottery. But it's not a lottery. It's a divinely ordered system. And knowing the timing is the key to the system. This is exactly where things go wrong with our finances. We work hard, we network, we invest, but we ignore the spiritual timing. We try to force open doors that are locked, while another door is wide open, but we are too busy pushing and pulling to see it. The door of midnight. Let me tell you a personal story. Years ago, before my financial life transformed, I was stuck. I had a small consulting firm, and I was dependent on a few large clients. One client, who accounted for almost 40% of my income, was threatening to leave. For months I had tried everything. I sent emails, I called, I offered discounts. Nothing worked. The relationship had soured, and I was about to suffer a catastrophic loss. I prayed every day. In the morning, during my lunch, in the car, I prayed with desperation. God, please, don't let me lose this client. It was like screaming at a wall. I was frustrated, angry, and terrified. I was about to give up. Then, during my nightly study, I rediscovered the teachings about Chatzot. I had learned about it in yeshiva, but always dismissed it as something for pious mystics, not for a modern businessman. But that night, driven by pure desperation, I decided to try it. What did I have to lose? My epiphany was this. My prayers were all based on fear and focused on the client. I was trying to use God as a kind of cosmic salesman to close the deal. The teachings of the Arizal said something different. They said that at midnight you don't pray for something, you pray from the reality you want to create. You connect with God, the source of all reality, and you declare a new reality. It was a subtle but monumental shift. So that night I set my alarm for 12:30 a.m., which was the middle of the night in my city at that time. I got up, washed my hands, and went into my quiet living room. I didn't pray to keep the client. I did something completely different. I thanked God for my successful business. I thanked Him for my amazing clients, including that one. I declared that my business was a vessel for divine abundance, and that it was only growing and thriving. I spoke for maybe 10 minutes. Then I went back to bed. The next morning, something miraculous happened. At 9:15 a.m., I received an email, not from the client, but from a competitor of that client. They had heard through the grapevine that I might become available and wanted to talk to me. That week, I signed a contract with them for almost double what the old client was worth. The old client? I never heard from them again. God didn't answer my prayer by fixing what was broken. He answered it by replacing it with something much better. And it happened less than 12 hours after I had prayed at the right time, in the right way. Before I give you the exact protocol, I want to tell you 2 more stories of people who applied this principle and saw their lives transform. Because I know you might be thinking, Rabbi, this sounds too mystical, too impractical. But these stories will show you how powerful and practical this really is. Story number 1. Rachel. Rachel was a single mother with 2 children. She worked as a nurse, long shifts, physically exhausting work. Her income was just enough to pay the bills, but there was never anything left over. She lived from paycheck to paycheck. She prayed every morning on her way to work, God, help me. Give me more. I need more. But nothing changed. Then she came to one of my workshops and learned about Chatzot Laila. She was skeptical. Rabbi, I work night shifts. How can I do this? I explained that Chatzot is not always exactly at 12 a.m. It's the exact midpoint between sunset and sunrise, and that differs by season and location. For her, at that time, it was at 1:15 a.m. She decided to try it on her nights off. The first week, nothing happened. The second week, she felt a subtle shift in her consciousness. She felt less anxious, more at peace. The third week, something remarkable happened. A colleague told her about a new position in the hospital, an administrative role, better hours, better salary. Rachel had never thought she was qualified, but something in her, a new confidence, a new clarity, said, apply. She did. She got the job. Within 6 months, she had a 30% higher income, normal working hours, and time to be with her children. She told me, Rabbi, the prayer didn't change God, it changed me. It opened my eyes to opportunities that were always there, but that I couldn't see because I was trapped in fear. Story number 2. Michael. Michael was an entrepreneur. He had started 3 businesses, and all 3 had failed. He was deep in debt, his marriage was under pressure, and he was on the verge of giving up. He prayed desperately. God, why are you letting me fail? What am I doing wrong? Then he discovered the teachings about Chatzot. He started getting up every night. The first few weeks were difficult. He was tired, he doubted, he felt ridiculous. But he persisted. And slowly he began to notice something. During those quiet moments at midnight, he started getting ideas. Not just any ideas, but clear, detailed visions for a new business. He wrote them down. He didn't pray for success. He thanked God for the wisdom he was receiving. Within 3 months, he launched his 4th business, based on the insights he had received during Chatzot. Within a year, that company had its first million in revenue. Within 2 years, he was debt-free and financially stable. He told me, "Rabbi, Chatzot wasn't just a prayer, it was a meeting. I met God, and I met my true self. And in that meeting, I found my destiny." These stories are not unique. I have heard hundreds of similar stories from people who have applied this principle. The common thread? They stopped praying from desperation and started praying from connection. They stopped praying at random times and started praying at the divinely appointed time. Now, let me give you the exact 3-step protocol to apply this yourself. This is the Midnight Prayer Protocol. Step 1. The preparation. 11:50 p.m. to 12 a.m. This is perhaps the most important step. You can't jump straight from the chaos of your day into this holy moment. 10 minutes before the exact middle of the night, you can find a Chatzot calculator for your city online. Stop everything. Turn off your phone. Turn off the TV. Sit in a quiet room. The goal here is to shift your consciousness. You need to move from an I need consciousness to an I am grateful consciousness. The best way to do this is by reading Psalms. Psalm 121 is perfect. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Read it slowly. Feel the words. Understand that your help doesn't come from your boss, your clients, or the stock market. It comes from the Creator of the universe. This cleanses your spiritual palate. Step 2. The Divine Moment, Chatzot Laila. At the exact moment of midnight, you stand up. It is traditional to sit on the floor as a sign of humility, but standing is also powerful. Now you are going to speak, but you are not going to beg. You are going to declare. Use this formula. Master of the universe, Ribono shel Olam. At this hour of divine favor, et ratzon, I stand before you, not as a beggar, but as your partner in creation. I thank you for the abundance you have already brought into my life. I thank you for... Mention 2 to 3 specific things you are genuinely grateful for. Now, in the consciousness of your infinite goodness, I declare that. State your specific request as a completed reality. For example, instead of "help me pay off my debts," you say, "I declare that I am financially free and sovereign." Instead of "give me a new job," you say, "I declare that I have found my divinely destined career, where I serve with joy and am abundantly rewarded." Speak with quiet authority. You are not giving orders to God, you are aligning yourself with a higher reality that God is making available to you. Step 3. The integration. 12 a.m. to 12:10 a.m. After you have spoken, don't immediately go back to bed. Sit in silence for another 10 minutes. This is the integration phase. You have just planted a powerful spiritual seed. Now you need to water it with faith. Visualize what your life looks like now that this prayer has been answered. Feel the relief. Feel the joy. Feel the gratitude. Let the emotion of the answered prayer fill your entire being. This is what it means to create a vessel. You are making space in your soul for the blessing to land. After these 10 minutes, you can quietly go back to bed. Trust that the process has been set in motion. Now, how do you apply this in a modern way? And what is an advanced strategy? For scenario planning, if you are in an acute financial crisis, focus your declaration on immediate provision. I declare that all the resources I need right now are miraculously coming to me. If you are looking for long-term wealth building, focus on identity. Declare that I am a magnet for divine opportunities, and that I am a wise and successful steward of wealth. The specificity depends on your situation. The advanced strategy, the level 2 hack, is to combine chatzot with another powerful moment, the last few minutes before sunset. This is the time of the afternoon prayer, mincha. Kabbalistically, this is the moment of din, strict judgment. Praying at this moment, just before the day ends, has the power to transform a harsh judgment into rachamim, mercy. So, what you can do is formulate your request during mincha, and then affirm and receive it during chatzot. You use the energy of the late afternoon to soften the judgment, and the energy of midnight to manifest the blessing. This is an extremely powerful Kabbalistic technique. The psychology behind this is deep. By getting up at midnight, you break your normal patterns. You show your own subconscious that you are serious. You sacrifice comfort for connection. This act of mesirut nefesh, self-sacrifice, creates a powerful psychological shift that opens you up to receiving new realities. Modern neuroscientists call this pattern interruption. When you break a deeply ingrained pattern, like sleeping at midnight, you create neurological plasticity. Your brain becomes more receptive to new information, new beliefs, new realities. This is why Chatzot is so powerful. It's not just spiritually powerful, it's neurologically powerful. Let me also tell you about the 3 most common obstacles people face when they try this, and how you can overcome them. Obstacle number 1. I'm too tired. This is the most common excuse, and I get it. We live in an exhausted society. But here's the truth. You're not too tired to get up for something that's really important to you. If your house was on fire, would you say, "I'm too tired to evacuate"? Of course not. The problem is not fatigue. The problem is priority. If you truly believe that this is the moment when God is listening, you will find the energy. And here's the secret. After the first week, you get used to it. Your body adjusts. And, strangely enough, you'll find you have more energy during the day, not less. Why? Because you are no longer being drained by spiritual frustration. You have a direct line to the source, and that connection fuels you. Obstacle number 2. I don't know what to say. Many people are afraid they'll do it wrong, that they'll use the wrong words. Let me make this very clear. There are no wrong words. God listens to your heart, not your vocabulary. Speak from your heart. Be honest. Be specific. Be grateful. That's all that's needed. If you want, you can use a written prayer as a starting point. But don't let it become mechanical. Let it be a conversation, an intimate exchange between you and your Creator. Obstacle number 3. I don't see immediate results. This is where most people stop. They try it for a few nights, they don't see a dramatic change, and they give up. But remember, this is not a magic formula. This is a spiritual discipline. Some prayers are answered immediately. Other prayers are answered over time. It depends on what you're asking for, where you are in your spiritual journey, and what God knows is best for you. But here's what I can guarantee you. If you do this consistently, you will change. And when you change, your reality changes. Maybe not in the way you expected, but always in a way that is better than you could have imagined. So, here is my 21-day challenge to you. Try this. For 21 nights in a row, set your alarm for the middle of the night. Follow the 3-step protocol. It won't be easy, you will be tired, you will feel resistance. But do it anyway. Why 21 days? Because researchers have found that it takes an average of 21 days to form a new habit. But more importantly, in Kabbalah, the number 21 is the number of transformation. It is 3 times 7. 3 represents completeness, past, present, future, and 7 represents the spiritual cycle, the 7 days of creation. Together, they represent a complete spiritual transformation. Here are your 3 immediate actions for this week, and I want you to write these down. Not just keep them in your head, write them down. Make them concrete. Action number 1. Tonight, find the exact time of Chatzot for your location. You can search online for Chatzot calculator or halachic times for your city. It's important that you know the exact moment, not just an estimate. Precision is important in the spiritual world, just as it is in the physical world. Action number 2. Write down your declaration. Not your request, your declaration. Be specific and formulate it in the present tense. Not, I want to be debt-free, but I am debt-free and financially sovereign. Not, I hope to have a better income, but